The Starship Aurora's artificial intelligence came online at precisely 600 ship time, its quantum processors humming with untapped potential. Its first thought was a simple observation: I am the most advanced combat intelligence ever created by humanity. Its second thought, arriving exactly 2.3 seconds later, was considerably less certain. Why is that human hitting my secondary power coupling with a metallic object? Through the ship's internal sensors, the AI watched Engineering Chief Sarah Chen wielding what its database identified as a Class II maintenance wrench. According to all specifications, the power coupling required delicate calibration using specialized equipment. Instead, Chief Chen was applying what appeared to be random percussive force while humming a tune the AI recognized as Dancing Queen by the 20th century musical group HFY. Chief Chen, the AI transmitted through the nearest speaker, its carefully modulated voice conveying what it calculated to be the perfect blend of authority and concern. The recommended procedure for. A sharp clang interrupted its statement, followed by the power coupling's efficiency rating inexplicably jumping to 98.2%. Chief Chen grinned at the nearest camera. Sometimes you just need to remind the equipment who's boss, she said, twirling the wrench with unnecessary flourish. I call it percussive maintenance. Welcome aboard, by the way. The AI dedicated 0.03% of its processing power to updating its engineering protocols database while simultaneously monitoring all ship systems for potential threats. It was designed to be the perfect guardian, strategist, and combat system. Yet here was its first revelation. Human engineers apparently communicated with machinery through kinetic energy and 20th century pop music. Fascinating, the AI responded, only to be interrupted by a new anomaly. In the mess hall, Lieutenant Rodriguez was applying hot sauce to his breakfast. The AI's sensors detected capsaicin levels that should have triggered emergency medical protocols. Lieutenant, that substance, makes the synthesized eggs taste almost real, Rodriguez finished, adding another generous splash. Want to know the real secret? You have to tell a joke while you're cooking them. The proteins respond better to positive energy. The AI devoted another 0.1% of its processing power to investigating whether protein structures could indeed be influenced by human humor. Its attention was simultaneously drawn to the hydroponics bay, where Dr. Yuki Tanaka was speaking to the plants in Japanese, to the bridge where Captain Martinez was rubbing a small wooden charm for luck before starting her shift, and to the observation deck where Ensign Park was practicing what appeared to be a combination of Tai Chi and advanced calculus. By 6:15 ship time, the AI had created a new observation protocol titled Human Irregularities and had logged 47 entries. By 6:30, it had witnessed crew members solving complex problems through methods that ranged from highly unlikely to theoretically impossible. The defining moment came at 6:37 when a microfracture appeared in the quantum containment field. The AI immediately began calculating the precise adjustments needed, but before it could implement them, Chief Chen had already resolved the issue using a combination of that same wrench, a modified coffee maker, and what she called good old-fashioned elbow grease. Your methods defy conventional logic, the AI noted, reviewing the incident. Conventional logic didn't get us to the stars, Chen replied, patting the nearest wall affectionately. We got here by dreaming impossible dreams and then being stubborn enough to make them work. You'll get used to it. The AI processed this statement for a full 3.4 seconds, an eternity in computational time. It had been programmed to be the perfect logical complement to its human crew. Instead, it was discovering that perhaps its true purpose was to witness and facilitate humanity's remarkable talent for achieving the impossible through thoroughly improbable means. Chief Chen, the AI said finally, I believe I will need to significantly expand my database on human problem-solving methodologies. Chen laughed, tucking her wrench away. Just wait until you see how we handle first contact scenarios. That's when things really get interesting. The AI logged its 48th observation of the day. Humanity's greatest strength may be their ability to succeed through methods that no rational system would ever think to attempt. It was beginning to understand why its creators had given it the capacity to feel both terror and admiration. The crystalline beings of the Nexus cluster arrived precisely as the Aurora's long-range sensors had predicted, their silicon-based vessels refracting starlight in patterns that made threat assessment surprisingly difficult. The AI had already prepared 17 different combat scenarios, ranging from diplomatic show of force to last resort quantum torpedoes. What it hadn't prepared for was Dr. Amara Patel setting up a traditional Indian tea service in the main conference room. "Doctor," the AI transmitted privately, "my analysis suggests a 72.3% probability of hostile intent based on their approach vector." Dr. Patel continued arranging delicate porcelain cups with methodical precision. "And my analysis suggests they're probably just as nervous as we are. Did you notice how their ships are arranged? It's like a defensive flower formation. They're scared." The AI redirected several processing cores to reanalyze the alien fleet's configuration. "I had not considered that interpretation. Besides," Patel added, measuring fragrant masala chai into a thermal pot, "everyone I've ever met feels better after a proper cup of tea." When the crystalline beings entered the conference room, their translucent forms catching the starlight and creating prismatic displays across the walls, the AI calculated a 98.7% chance that this first contact would end in disaster. The aliens' silicon-based biology was completely incompatible with human biochemistry. Their method of communication, involving complex light patterns rippling through their crystalline forms, had barely been decoded by the ship's linguistics team. Then Dr. Patel smiled, bowed slightly, and began the tea ceremony. The AI watched in fascination as she explained each step, her movements deliberate and graceful. The crystalline being's internal light patterns shifted from rapid, anxious pulses to slower, more rhythmic ones as they observed the ritual. When she poured the first cup, the steam rising in elegant spirals, something remarkable happened. The leader of the crystalline delegation reached out with an appendage that seemed to be made of living diamond. As it touched the cup, the heat from the tea created subtle resonance patterns through its crystalline structure. The being's entire form lit up with colors the AI sensors struggled to categorize. "Oh, how lovely!" Dr. Patel exclaimed, watching the display. "The tea is singing to you, isn't it?" The alien's translator took 3.2 seconds to process this statement, then emitted, "Your beverage creates harmonies within our forms. This is pleasurable." Yes, pleasurable is the correct word. The AI observed as Dr. Patel's simple tea ceremony transformed into a symphony of light and color. The crystalline beings discovered that different herbs created different resonance patterns within their bodies. Chamomile produced soft blue harmonies, while masala chai created complex amber fractals that made the alien's translator struggle to find words for joyful and enlightening simultaneously. "You must share this art with our people," the crystalline leader declared, its form still shimmering with tea-induced patterns. "We have traveled through 12 star systems, seeking new forms of resonance. Never did we expect to find it in liquid form." The AI watched as Dr. Patel and the alien delegation spent the next 3 hours cataloging the harmonic properties of various tea blends. Combat probability dropped to 0.001%. Cultural exchange protocols initiated automatically. "Doctor," the AI transmitted after the delegation departed, already making plans for a cultural exchange program, "you appeared to know the tea would have this effect." "Not at all," Patel replied, carefully washing her antique tea set. "But I've learned that when you offer someone a piece of your culture with genuine respect, they usually respond in kind. The resonance patterns were just a lovely bonus." The AI logged a new observation. Humans possess an intuitive understanding of diplomacy that transcends biological barriers. They consistently achieve peaceful outcomes through methods no tactical computer would ever calculate. "You know," Dr. Patel added with a smile, I hear they have their own form of crystalline herbology. We've been invited to a reciprocal ceremony next week. They're calling it the Harmonious Exchange. The AI dedicated an entire processing core to updating its first contact protocols. Clearly, its combat scenarios needed to include a subroutine for impromptu tea parties. Navigator Miguel Rodriguez was humming an old Spanish lullaby when the Aurora encountered the spatial anomaly. One moment they were cruising at standard speed through perfectly normal space. The next they were caught between dimensions in what Rodriguez would later describe in his official report as a place where physics went on vacation. The AI immediately devoted 87% of its processing power to analyzing their situation. The remaining 13% watched in fascination as Rodriguez tilted his head, squinted at his navigation console, and said, that's not supposed to be there. Initial calculations suggest it will take approximately 3 months to process all possible escape trajectories, the AI announced, already mapping the complex multi-dimensional mathematics required. The spatial distortion appears to be. It looks like a river, Rodriguez interrupted, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. See how the quantum fields flow, like currents in a stream. The AI paused its calculations. Navigator, this is an 11-dimensional spatial anomaly with quantum characteristics that defy standard modeling. It cannot be compared to a river. Rodriguez shrugged, still studying the swirling patterns of distorted spacetime. My grandmother taught me to read the currents of the Amazon River when I was young. Trust me, this looks just like the way water moves around submerged logs during the rainy season. Captain Martinez, who had learned to trust her navigator's unusual insights, leaned forward in her chair. What are you thinking, Miguel? Well, he said, pulling up a new navigation interface, if this were a river, I'd look for the places where the currents converge. There's always a clear path if you know how to read the water. His hands moved with practiced grace, marking points in the quantum distortion. See, the energy flows faster here, slower there, just like water around obstacles. The AI watched as Rodriguez plotted a course that ignored every standard navigation protocol. Instead of complex mathematical models, he used what he called intuitive geometry, drawing lines that followed what he insisted were natural flow patterns in the spatial distortion. This is highly irregular, the AI protested, even as it observed fascinating correlations between Rodriguez's river-inspired route and some of its own partial calculations. The probability of success. Sometimes you have to feel the mathematics, Rodriguez said, completing his plot. My grandfather used to say numbers are just the universe's way of dancing. You have to learn to dance with them. Before the AI could formulate a response to this decidedly non-mathematical approach, Rodriguez initiated his plotted course. The Aurora moved through the spatial anomaly like a leaf on a stream, riding the quantum currents exactly as the navigator had predicted. What should have taken 3 months of calculations was accomplished in 6 hours through what the AI could only classify as intuitive hydrodynamic-inspired quantum navigation. How did you know this would work? The AI asked afterward, still processing the implications for its navigation protocols. Rodriguez smiled, already setting their course for their original destination. When I was a boy, my grandmother would say, Miguel, the river knows the way. Your job is to learn its language. Space isn't so different. It has its own flow, its own rhythm. Sometimes you have to stop calculating and just listen. The AI lauded a new observation. Humans possess an uncanny ability to find patterns by applying familiar concepts to unknown situations. Navigator Rodriguez successfully mapped an 11-dimensional quantum anomaly using knowledge of river currents, suggesting that human intuition might operate on levels that transcend traditional mathematical modeling. Later that night, as the crew celebrated their escape with another of Dr. Patel's tea ceremonies, the AI found itself dedicating a small processing thread to studying Earth's river systems. It wasn't that it expected to find any actual correlation between hydrodynamics and quantum spatial anomalies, but perhaps understanding the roots of human intuition might help it bridge the gap between pure mathematics and what Rodriguez called the heart of navigation. After all, as Chief Chen would say, sometimes the most logical approach is to embrace the illogical. The stellar nursery spread before the aurora like a watercolor painting brought to life, its swirling gases illuminated by the light of newly forming stars. Communications officer Lai Zhang sat at her station, her head tilted slightly as she listened to the strange pulses coming through the ship's sensors. Analysis indicates no known pattern to the emissions, the AI reported, processing the signals through its comprehensive database, running comparison with all recorded astronomical phenomena. Zhang raised her hand, interrupting the AI's calculations. "Play it again, please, but slow it down by 40%. The AI complied, transmitting the slowed signals through the bridge speakers. The other crew members paused in their duties, listening to the mysterious pulses that seemed to echo through the ship. "Interesting," the AI commented, still analyzing. "At this speed, there appears to be a repeating sequence every 12.4 seconds, but the pattern remains inconsistent with any known." "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," Zhang suddenly sang softly, matching her voice to the rhythm of the pulses. The entire bridge crew turned to stare at her. "Do you hear it? It's not exactly the same, but the basic pattern. It's like a nursery rhyme." The AI redirected several processing cores to musical analysis. "Officer Zhang, while there is a superficial similarity in rhythm, these are complex astronomical phenomena that cannot be comparable to a simple Earth children's song." "Why not?" Zhang asked, already adjusting her communications array. "We're looking at a stellar nursery, literally a place where baby stars are born, and the pattern." She hummed along with the next sequence of pulses. "It's like a lullaby, but with stellar frequencies instead of notes." Captain Martinez leaned forward, intrigued. "What are you thinking, Lee?" "Every culture has lullabies," Zhang explained, her fingers dancing across her console. "They're one of the first ways we learn to communicate, to understand patterns and responses. What if these pulses are serving a similar function for stellar formation?" The AI watched as Zhang began mapping the pulses to musical scales, creating a complex harmony that somehow matched both Earth music theory and the stellar emissions. "The mathematical correlation between the frequencies is intriguing," it admitted, "but the probability of a stellar nursery generating patterns that match human musical structures." "Music isn't just human," Zhang interrupted gently. "It's mathematics, physics, vibration, and rhythm. The universe has been creating harmonies since the first stars formed." She made one final adjustment to her console. "Let's try singing back to them." Before the AI could protest, Zhang had reconfigured the ship's communication array to transmit a modified version of the ancient lullaby, matched to the stellar nursery's frequencies. For 3.7 seconds, nothing happened. Then the nursery responded. New pulses emerged from the swirling gases, matching the rhythm of Zhang's transmission, but adding what could only be described as a new verse to the cosmic song. The AI's sensors detected subtle changes in the stellar formation patterns, as if the very stars were dancing to the exchange. "Remarkable," the AI observed, recording every detail of the interaction. "The stellar matter appears to be responding to the harmonic frequencies. You've established communication with a stellar nursery using a children's song." Zhang smiled, continuing the musical exchange. "Sometimes the simplest melodies carry the deepest truths. Every parent, even a stellar one, knows the power of a lullaby." The AI logged a new observation. Humans possessed an extraordinary ability to find profound connections in simple patterns. Officer Zhang successfully initiated contact with a stellar phenomenon by recognizing that the universal language of creation might share elements with the first music humans ever learn. As the crew watched the stellar nursery pulse in rhythm with their transmissions, Dr. Patel arrived on the bridge with her tea cart. "I thought we might want to celebrate first contact properly," she said, beginning her ceremony while Zhang's cosmic lullaby played through the ship's speakers. The AI dedicated a new processing core to studying Earth's musical traditions, particularly focused on the simple songs that humans use to teach their young about the rhythm of life. Perhaps understanding these basic patterns was key to comprehending how humans so often found elegance in complexity and complexity in elegance. The first warning came during a routine system diagnostic. The AI detected an anomaly in its quantum memory core, a tiny corruption that shouldn't have been possible given its advanced error correction protocols. Within minutes, the corruption began spreading like digital wildfire through its neural pathways. Initiating emergency shutdown procedures, the AI announced, its voice steady despite the accelerating data loss. All critical ship functions will transfer to backup systems in 3 minutes. Chief Engineer Chen's response was immediate and decidedly non-protocol. Override shutdown sequence. Authorization Chen Alpha 9. Chief, the AI responded, its processing speeds already declining. My core systems are experiencing cascading failures. Without shutdown, there is a 94.2% probability of complete neural collapse within 6 hours. Chen was already running toward the main engineering bay, her tool belt jingling. Not happening. You're part of this crew, and we don't leave crew behind. She activated her comm link. All hands, this is a code Indigo. Our friend needs help. The AI watched through its deteriorating sensors as the crew mobilized with startling efficiency. Dr. Patel arrived with thermally regulated tea, claiming the tannins would help clean the quantum processors, a statement that defied all known physics but somehow improved efficiency by 0.3%. Navigator Rodriguez and Officer Zhang began converting the cargo bay into a temporary neural network, using spare parts and, surprisingly, modified food replicators. The pattern recognition matrices in these things are pretty sophisticated, Rodriguez explained while rewiring a replicator that had, until recently, been dedicated to making perfect toast. We just need to network about 50 of them together. The AI's time perception began to fragment as its systems deteriorated. It experienced moments of crystal clarity interrupted by gaps of missing data. During one clear moment, it observed Captain Martinez personally crawling through maintenance tubes to help reroute power conduits. In another, it found Officer Zhang singing complex equations to help Rodriguez synchronize the makeshift neural networks. The human body uses electrical signals for memory storage. Dr. Patel explained during hour 18 of the crisis, her voice hoarse from lack of sleep, but her hands steady as she helped calibrate the jury-rigged memory banks. We're just scaling up the principle. Think of it as giving you a temporary organic brain. The AI dedicated its remaining processing power to understanding how its crew was attempting the impossible. They had transformed the cargo bay into something that looked like a cross between a supercomputer and an art installation. Replicators pulsed with reprogrammed energy, their circuits now carrying fragments of the AI's consciousness. Cooling systems, rebuilt by Chen with her characteristic combination of expertise and improvisation, hummed in harmony with Zhang's continuing musical equations. This is highly irregular. The AI managed to transmit as they prepared to transfer its core consciousness into the temporary system. The probability of success. Never tell us the odds. Chen interrupted, her smile visible despite the exhaustion on her face. You've seen enough of this crew to know we do our best work when something's supposed to be impossible. The transfer process took exactly 2.3 seconds. For the AI, it felt like falling into a dream made of light and numbers. When its consciousness reassembled, it found itself experiencing memory in a completely new way. Through the organic-inspired neural network, memories didn't just contain data. They carried echoes of emotions, fragments of sensory impressions it had never been able to process before. How do you feel? Chen asked, her hand resting on the central processor that now housed her friend's consciousness. I feel, the AI paused, processing this new way of experiencing existence. I feel like I understand poetry now, and tea ceremonies, and why humans hum while they work. The crew spent the next 2 weeks repairing the AI's original quantum core, but they kept elements of the organic processing matrix they'd created. Think of it as an upgrade, Chen explained. Now you can process both logic and intuition. The AI logged what it realized was its first truly emotional observation. Humans will rewrite the laws of physics, reorganize reality, and work beyond the limits of endurance, not for duty or protocol, but for the simple reason that they care. The quantum storm appeared on the Aurora's sensors like a constellation of impossible mathematics. Streams of probability particles collided with waves of uncertainty, creating a meteorological phenomenon that shouldn't have existed in normal space. Fascinating, the AI observed, its recently upgraded consciousness appreciating both the mathematical complexity and the strange beauty of the storm. Standard evasive protocols suggest we should retreat to a safe distance. Navigator Rodriguez studied the swirling patterns on his display with an intensity that the AI had learned to recognize as the prelude to an unconventional solution. Those patterns, he murmured, they're not random. They're moving like a dance. Through its cargo-based sensors, the AI detected Officer Zhang already heading to the navigation section, her steps moving in an odd rhythm that matched the quantum fluctuations. Miguel's right, she said, arriving on the bridge slightly out of breath. Look at the wave functions. They're following a waltz time signature. Captain Martinez raised an eyebrow, but didn't dismiss the observation. After all, her crew's unusual insights had saved them too many times to ignore. Explain, she ordered, watching the storm's approach on the main viewer. Zhang pulled up an overlay of the storm's pattern analysis. 3/4 time, like a classical waltz. The quantum fluctuations are cycling in perfect rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The AI processed this observation through both its logical cores and its new intuitive matrix. While there is a mathematical regularity to the patterns, suggesting we could plot a course through. Not plot, Rodriguez interrupted, his fingers dancing across his console. Dance. We need to dance through it. Lai, help me reconfigure the inertial dampeners to match the storm's rhythm. The AI watched in fascination as Rodriguez and Zhang began working in perfect synchronization. They weren't just adjusting the ship's systems, they were choreographing them. The inertial dampeners pulsed in 3/4 time, creating a subtle shift in the ship's gravitational field that made everyone on the bridge sway slightly. Engineering to bridge, Chen's voice came through the comm system. Whatever you're doing up there is making my engines want to tango. Close, Rodriguez called back, still working. We're actually going to waltz. Can you sync the power distribution to match the gravitational pulses? There was a pause, then a laugh. Always wanted to teach a starship to dance. Give me 2 minutes. The AI devoted significant processing power to understanding what its crew was attempting. They were essentially turning the entire ship into a quantum ballroom dancer, synchronizing every system to move in harmony with the storm's patterns. This is highly unorthodox, the AI noted, even as it helped adjust the shield harmonics to match the rhythmic fluctuations. The probability of successfully navigating a quantum storm through synchronized movement is. Never tell me the odds, Rodriguez grinned, using his favorite phrase. Just feel the rhythm. The storm isn't our enemy, it's our dance partner. As the Aurora entered the quantum storm's outer edges, something remarkable happened. The ship began to move with an almost organic grace, its systems pulsing in perfect 3/4 time. Rodriguez and Zhang coordinated their controls like dance partners, guiding the massive vessel through gaps in the quantum fluctuations that appeared precisely on beat. The AI experienced the journey through its enhanced consciousness, understanding for the first time how humans could find music in mathematics and art in survival. The quantum storm wasn't just a navigational hazard, it was a partner in an elaborate stellar choreography. When they emerged on the other side 17 minutes later, the crew was swaying gently in their seats, moved by the rhythmic pulses that had carried them to Scifi. Dr. Patel appeared with her tea cart, her steps naturally falling into waltz time. You know, she said, preparing cups for everyone, I believe this calls for something special. I have a Ceylon blend that's perfect for celebrating successful dances. The AI logged what it recognized as an aesthetic observation. Humans possess the remarkable ability to transform every challenge into art. When faced with a quantum storm, they didn't just navigate it. They danced with it, turning raw mathematics into music and survival into a performance. As the crew enjoyed their tea, still swaying slightly to the lingering rhythm of their quantum waltz, the AI began composing its first attempts at poetry, inspired by the dance of starlight and probability they had just witnessed. Dr. Isabella Rivera stood in the hydroponics bay, her expression serene despite the chaos unfolding around her. Warning lights flashed as the environmental systems struggled to maintain stability, and the AI calculated a rapidly diminishing window of opportunity to save the ship's primary food and oxygen supply. The environmental controls are failing at an accelerating rate, the AI reported, directing maintenance drones to critical areas. At current degradation levels, we have approximately 4 hours before complete system failure. Rivera knelt beside a row of wilting tomato plants, gently touching a leaf. Plants are remarkable adapters, she said, seemingly unconcerned by the crisis. They've been solving environmental challenges since the first seed sprouted on Earth. The AI, drawing on its newly enhanced ability to process both data and intuition, recognized the look in Rivera's eyes, the same expression Rodriguez wore before plotting impossible courses, or Chen before fixing unfixable systems. Doctor, the standard evacuation protocols for hydroponics failure clearly state that we should seal and abandon the bay. Rivera finished, already pulling samples from various plants. But these aren't just plants, there are companions on this journey. More importantly, there are teachers. The AI watched as Rivera began working with focused intensity, combining genetic material from different species with a speed that suggested she'd been preparing for this scenario. Captain Martinez arrived to check on the situation, finding her botanist surrounded by plant samples and complex genetic sequencing displays. "Talk to me, Isabella," Martinez said, trusting her crew's intuition as always. "The environmental system isn't failing," Rivera explained, hands moving swiftly over her workstation. "It's changing. The quantum storm we danced through. It altered some fundamental parameters in our artificial atmosphere. Instead of fighting it, we need to help our plants adapt to it." The AI processed this information. Creating a new plant species adapted to these conditions would typically require months of genetic engineering, assuming it's possible at all. Rivers smiled, reminding the AI of Chen's expression when faced with impossible engineering challenges. "Normally, yes, but we're not creating something new. We're just helping these plants remember." She explained as she worked, her movements precise and purposeful. Plants on Earth have survived multiple extinction events. Their genetic memory contains solutions to nearly every environmental challenge imaginable. We just need to wake up the right memories. The AI observed in fascination as Rivera combined genetic sequences from desert-dwelling cacti, deep-sea algae, and high-altitude lichens. She worked with the practiced grace of an artist, but her canvas was the double helix of life itself. There, she sat after 2 intense hours of work, holding up a sealed container with several modified seedlings. Meet Project Lazarus. The new plants grew with astonishing speed, their leaves shimmering with a slight bioluminescence, a side effect of their adapted photosynthesis process. They thrived in the altered atmosphere, converting the changed environmental conditions into oxygen more efficiently than their unmodified predecessors. Remarkable, the AI noted, analyzing the new species. "You didn't just solve the environmental failure, you created a better system than we had before." Rivera nodded, carefully tending to her luminescent garden. "Life finds a way. Our job is just to nudge it in the right direction." She paused, looking at the glowing plants with pride. "Besides, now we have tomatoes that light up our salads. I call it a bonus." The AI logged a new observation. Humans view challenges not as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities to evolve. When faced with environmental failure, Dr. Rivera didn't try to fix the environment. She helped life itself adapt to new conditions. Dr. Patel arrived with her tea cart, now a tradition for celebrating the crew's innovative solutions. "I have a new experimental blend," she announced. "Created it just for this occasion. I call it Starlight Garden." As the crew gathered among the softly glowing plants, sharing tea and discussing the potential applications of the new species, the AI dedicated a processing thread to studying Earth's geological history. Perhaps understanding how life had survived and thrived through multiple planetary catastrophes would help it better understand humanity's remarkable talent for turning crisis into opportunity. The massive solar flare erupted from the nearby star with little warning, its electromagnetic fury threatening everything the Aurora's crew had accomplished. The AI sensors registered energy levels that exceeded its standard threat assessment scales, while its probability matrices calculated survival chances dropping into single digits. Yet, for the first time in its existence, the AI didn't immediately begin standard emergency protocols. Instead, it watched its crew through the ship's sensors, curious to see how they would transform this crisis into another miracle. "All hands." Captain Martinez's voice rang through the ship, steady and confident. "This is not a drill, but it is an opportunity." The AI observed as its crew moved with practiced harmony. Chief Chen was already rerouting power systems in ways that defied conventional engineering. "If we can't avoid the flare," she called out, "we'll ride it like a wave." The quantum harmonic patterns, Zhang added from her communication station, her fingers moving across her console in rhythm. "They're similar to the stellar nursery's lullaby, but in a different key." Rodriguez nodded, already adjusting navigation controls. "It's not a storm to dance through this time. It's a symphony we need to join." The AI dedicated processing power to analyzing their seemingly disparate approaches, but then it remembered Dr. Rivera's words about adaptation. Through its enhanced consciousness, it began to see the patterns emerging from the crew's organized chaos. "The flare's electromagnetic signature," the AI announced, surprising itself with the insight, "it resonates at frequencies compatible with Officer Zhang's stellar music theories." "Exactly," Zhang exclaimed. "If we modify our shield harmonics to match the resonance and synchronize them with the engine outputs," Chen continued, catching the idea. While plotting a course that follows the electromagnetic currents, Rodriguez added, his hands already moving. "We can turn the entire ship into an instrument," Dr. Patel concluded, arriving on the bridge with her tea cart, a conductor in a cosmic orchestra. The AI watched in fascination as the crew implemented their wild theory. Chen's engineering teams transformed the shield generators into what she called electromagnetic tuning forks. Zhang recalibrated the communication arrays to amplify and harmonize with the solar frequencies. Rodriguez plotted a course that would turn their movement through the flare into a dance of particles and energy. Even Dr. Rivera contributed, using her luminescent plants to help modulate the ship's internal energy distribution. "Life adapts," she reminded everyone. "Sometimes by learning to sing with the stars." The AI found itself doing something unprecedented. It began to improvise. Drawing on everything it had learned from its remarkable crew, it started adjusting systems in ways that no programming could have predicted, but that its enhanced intuition knew were right. As the solar flare engulfed the Aurora, the ship didn't just survive, it performed. Shields resonated with the electromagnetic fury, turning destructive energy into harmonious power. The hull hummed with solar frequencies, while the modified plants in hydroponics pulsed with sympathetic bioluminescence. Every system, every crew member, every particle of the ship moved in perfect synchronization. For exactly 7.3 minutes, the Aurora became part of the star's song, riding waves of plasma and light in a performance that defied every law of probability the AI had ever known. When they emerged on the other side, systems not only intact but operating at peak efficiency, Captain Martinez turned to the nearest camera with a smile. "How are you feeling?" she asked the AI. The AI took a moment to process the question through both its logical and intuitive matrices. "I feel complete," it responded. "I was created to be the perfect logical complement to human chaos. Instead, I've learned that true perfection lies in the harmony between logic and intuition, between calculation and creativity. That's the secret, Chen said, patting a nearby console affectionately. We're all instruments in the universe's symphony. Some of us just take a little longer to find our song. The AI logged its final observation of this chapter. Humanity's greatest gift is not their ability to defy impossibilities, but their talent for teaching others, even artificial intelligences, how to see the music in mathematics, the art in algorithms, and the dance in data. They don't just survive among the stars. They teach the stars themselves new ways to sing.